write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race. And the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
Mysterious, passionate, elitist, classic, gothic, and old. These are the few adjectives that can be used to describe the dark academia movement that conquered the Gen Z social media world in the mid-2010s until today. Some claim that the movement originated on the beloved Tumblr. Other sources attribute the rise of the aesthetic to the publication of Donia Tartt's famous book The Secret History in September 1992, while others credit the popularization of the dark academia aesthetic to the 2020 pandemic, when schools and universities around the globe were forced to switch to online classes, thus robbing the younger generations of the experience of proper academia environments. My personal experience with it started as a teen, when I would spend countless hours scrolling through the depths of Tumblr, fantasizing about dusty Scottish libraries, old haunted French castles, or solving a mysterious murder at Oxford. But it took me 5 long years to pinpoint the name of the trend that seized my Tumblr feed's aesthetic: dark academia. And yes, I do believe this 100% qualifies me to teach and analyze it from an expert's point of view online. You may find it difficult to find a universally agreed definition of the movement, as its origins are very much rooted into our hectic social media-driven society. Thus, dark academia can be placed as a predominantly digital aesthetic focused on an old money, pretentious lifestyle of academia elites. Urban Dictionary defines it as an aesthetic that is inspired by old and classic literature and philosophy, as well as themes of existentialism and death, essentially a knowledgeable vintage emo. It revolves around a dark color scheme, as the name implies, with hints of earthly tones as well, such as navy green, burgundy, cream, and brown beige. This whole aesthetic is about looking like a wisecracking, pretentious scholar, so you would usually see one wearing plaid suede dress pants, knitted turtlenecks, black belts, blazers, baggy overcoats, dress shoes, black heels, and pocket watches and gold vintage watches. You will occasionally find one lounging around in a used bookstore, reading old classics and writing poetry, or in a vintage coffee shop ordering a black coffee or a green tea with no sugar, of course. But within this genre, themes of murder, mystery, satire, and philosophy dominate as the primary sources of conflict within its books, movies, and culture overall.
Words and ideas can change the world. Now, see that look in Mr. Pitt's eye? Like 19th century literature has nothing to do with going to business school or medical school, right? Maybe. Mr. Hopkins, you may agree with him, thinking, yes, we should simply study our Mr. Pritchard and learn our rhyme and meter and go quietly about the business of achieving other ambitions.
Dark academia approaches dark and more often than not taboo subjects within the academic world, emphasizing the neglected side of the academic spectrum, the humanities. From poetry to philosophy and music, subjects which are looked down on in our modern world as they are deemed financially unstable, the humanities find a little corner of glorification and appreciation within the safe confines of the dark academia subgenre. One of the most compelling elements accredited to dark academia is, of course, its visually pleasing aesthetic, derived mainly from the 40s and 30s British and Gothic fashion and architecture. Just having one look at a Pinterest board will open up a powerful desire to dress like Thomas Shelby and study ancient Greek at Oxford, as it not only evokes the feeling of nostalgia, but a short 1-minute TikTok with the Edinburgh University in desaturated tones on Chopin tunes also opens the door to a world which is quite inaccessible, especially if you happen to live in an overcrowded and polluted city in Eastern Europe, for example. But emulating the aesthetics of the movement is not enough to be acknowledged as part of it. The Dark Academia movement should inspire young people to develop a strong thirst for knowledge and humanities preferably, subjects which are frowned upon in a world dominated by tech billionaires and wannabe entrepreneurs.
You could be a janitor anywhere. Why did you work at the most prestigious technical college in the whole fucking world? Why did you sneak around at night and finish other people's formulas that only 1 or 2 people in the world could do and then lie about? Because I don't see a lot of honor in that, Will. So what do you really want to do?
We are constantly told that STEM subjects are superior to the others for their financial potential and future career prospects. And as a student of humanities myself, I found a safe space within Dark Academia that allowed me to connect with peers who were equally passionate about literature and languages as I was at the time. Social media has offered, through its potent organizational and aggravating capabilities, a rapid launch of the movement, reaching global magnitudes among the disillusioned youth who are constantly betrayed by an unjust educational system propelled by a merciless capitalistic status quo, especially when one thinks of the United States educational system. Our current academia is stuck in a constant state of underfunding, especially when it comes to humanistic topics, on one hand, while on the other hand, its conservatism and elitism among both the professors and students lead to a further enlargement of the gap between the social classes. It is thus interesting and understandable to see the appeal of a movement that shows you how easy it is to be part of this academic elite, if only you would dress with nice Oxford shoes and read a classic at the candlelight, right? The popularity of Dark Academia lists, or Get the Look TikToks, present an easily achievable goal. It places the object of young people's desire within a reachable distance, offers them the possibility of feeling included in an otherwise exclusive environment. And this is mainly my critique of the whole feel-good aesthetic. As in any parasocial relationship, it offers us enough room to dream that we too can be accepted in an exclusive club formed by perfect, powerful, and prestigious people, but without actually delivering anything meaningful that changes our current prospects.
By John Clare's story. By all accounts, he was only 5 feet tall, so considered freakish. Perhaps due to this, he felt a singular affinity with the outcasts and the unloved, the ugly animals, the broken things.
I believe it's important not to fool ourselves with instant gratification without analyzing the impact on the longer term. Lighting up a candle and reading Mary Shelley's Frankenstein will always be a wonderful and pleasant experience, but it won't change the abuse of power in universities, shift the societal expectation on students of humanities, or challenge the misogyny and elitism of higher-up authorities, will it now? Anna Queering writes on Avidly, but in online worlds, aesthetic also functions as an adjective. For a blog, person, or image to be aesthetic means that it cultivates attention to the sublime in everyday moments. Examples of the online sublime vary, but certain themes emerge. Grainy film photographs are aesthetic, so are string lights and gloomy weather. Houseplants, folded sweaters, and cream swirling into coffee also qualify. These visuals appear within any number of specifically codified aesthetic categories. The dark academia movement democratizes the old-fashioned way in which learning is taught, universities, just as much as the Romantic era swayed poets and the 18th century folk into dreaming of grandiose tragic heroes, or the classics, being immersed into the ancient writings of Ovid or Seneca. The dark academia followers romanticize a bygone time seen through a singular one-sided perspective. Another critique point that I would like to make is that by being so focused on the old money lifestyle, one might easily miss the Eurocentric aspect of the whole aesthetic. On the social media platforms, the hashtag attracts mostly pale, light-skinned Caucasians, glorifying a problematic historical time at best under the umbrella of innocent, aesthetically pleasing visuals. At the same time, we can see how Gen Z claimed the movement to itself by adapting the traditional white spaces of the movement and transforming the online community into a more inclusive and diverse space, reflecting the reality and diversity of our own times. The many dark academia accounts focused on Black and Arabic fashion and history with their own adaptations of the famous reading lists and Get the Look mini tutorials is encouraging and heartwarming to see. The convertibility of the subgenre and its high adaptive potential secures a space where everyone is very much included and welcomed, unlike its historical inspiration. As a final thought, I would like to add that the popularity of the movement has sparked some interesting and thought-provoking remarks for me, from its questionable and superficial vain aspect to the much-needed reformation of the academic environment in a capitalistic world, where the social pressure forces you to deem STEM subjects more feasible for future career prospects, thus deeming the humanities no more than a dying area of knowledge, fitting with its milky dusty skulls in an Irish library on a warmed-up earth. Systematic power abuses, lack of diversity and inclusion, the negative impact of the pandemic upon Gen Z's social academic life has left a powerful mark upon our generation. And dark academia has come in a right time to remind us of a bygone era where poetry and higher arts reign freely on top of Gothic cathedrals. And we've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for sticking until the end. As always, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear about your encounter with dark academia on TikTok or Tumblr or the internet in general. And I will see you next time with a new video. Bye bye!